All right, moving on to Week 9 in Major League Baseball. We had some hitters who had a fantastic Week 8. Let's start off with Daniel Murphy of the Mets. There's somebody on the Mets who had a good week.
It wasn't Ike Davis, was it?
No, it wasn't Ike Davis. How do you feel about Daniel?
I like him. I mean, the position eligibility is really where he comes into play. If he qualifies at second base in your league, then that's where you need to be playing him because that's where all of his value comes from. But I think you know what you're getting from Daniel Murphy. The power is something. He's on pace for 15 home runs. That's
a little surprising.
It is. That is a little surprising. I would have figured him for a 5-6. He's an average guy. That's how
he stole a base this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Third base.
I would.
It doesn't count anymore. But
I guess someone was not looking at him for that. I wouldn't put too much credence into his steal numbers. But he's going to hit around 300, which is terrific. And if you can hit around 300 and you hit second in a lineup, you're going to generate a lot of runs.
He's on pace for almost 110 runs scored.
Which is not bad hitting in the Mets lineup. I mean, who's not going to win? Rick Ankiel at this point? Look, I like him. I don't think he's a great fantasy player, but he's a borderline top 125 player, which makes him a borderline top 10 second baseman.
All right, Pat, Josh Rutledge was sent down this week. The need to make some room for Michael Kadire back on the roster.
This makes me sad.
I was surprised that he was the one they choose. Usually you don't take a starting player and send that player down, especially if he's not putrid. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I know he wasn't on fire or anything, but I think his numbers from a fantasy perspective were a top 100 player, weren't they?
Right around the top 100, and put in the fact that he has shortstop eligibility and second base eligibility, then yeah, he was probably even more valuable than his stats showed. 5 home runs, 5 steals. I mean, his average was just below 250. It's not like he was playing horrible, but I guess...
What would they do with Adam Dunn or Ike Davis or Adam LaRoche?
Well, put it this way. If Adam Dunn played in Colorado, you'd have around 80 home runs, so they would be able to work that one out. I don't get it. I mean, when I logged on, I have him on every team, so it kind of...
There's got to be more to it than that. There's got to be a problem.
I'm keeping him on all my teams. I'm not going to drop him. I still think... I mean, look...
I didn't see any news on why they sent him. And it's not even the same position. They took a middle infielder and they sent him down for an outfielder. It's not like they replaced one with the other.
Yeah, they needed the roster spot, I guess, and maybe they just wanted... Rutledge wasn't getting everyday play lately either. They were mixing him in and out of the lineup, so maybe they wanted to get everyday at-bats, get himself straightened out. Maybe 2 weeks from now we see him again. That's why I say don't drop him, because when he does come back... if he can slightly improve on that average, let's say he hits 260 instead of 240, then he is a top 100 player just because he does so much of everything else. He's still on pace, even if he comes back at the end of May, he's still on pace for basically a 2020 season, which is huge from a shortstop or second baseman.
I was always anti-Jay Bruce because I thought Joey Votto was the left-handed guy there.
He still is the guy.
And while he is the guy, I really never took a hard look at Jay Bruce's stats, and he's a lot better than I thought he was.
He's okay. He does what he does well.
I'm always very concerned about his batting average, is really what I'm always concerned about.
As you should be.
And I'm not as concerned when I look at it right now.
You should be.
273. I'd take that.
You would take that. Unfortunately, it's not going to stay around that number much longer.
You don't think so?
I don't. We talk a lot. I talk a lot about batting average of balls in play. Jay Bruce is one of the crazy outliers. Even when he was hitting 220, his batting average of balls in play was up around 400. So he's getting actually crazy lucky with balls he's putting into play, yet still can't hit for an elite average. What happens when that number normalizes? He's going to be a 240 hitter. That's where I see him ending the season, around 240.
And that's exactly why I don't like Jay Bruce. Okay? David Ortiz has fooled the heck out of me. I was totally wrong about David Ortiz. If he doesn't have another at bat for the rest of the year, I still got him wrong.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I'm shocked. I thought I was certain that he had problems between his age and his problems with both his feet. That there was no way that he could do what he was doing. He's an all-star. He's a bona fide all-star this year. Not on his merits now.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're hitting 350.
Can he keep this up?
I don't think the average is going to stay around 350, but we've seen Ortiz in his big seasons. He can hit 325, no problem. As long as he's not injured, he's always been good. It's usually, the one thing is, it's usually the April that kills him. He gets off to these slow starts.
Yeah, they were checking his eyes one year.
Yeah,
right?
he didn't play in April this year, at least for the first 3 weeks, so he just kind of skipped the bad start and went right to the good stuff.
It's the Mike Trout method.
Basically.
Do nothing in April, and then...
We'll see if it works out for Mark Teixeira when he comes back, the king of the slow starts. But no, David Ortiz is absolutely legitimate. If the guy in your league doesn't think so, make a low ball offer for him. Maybe you get him.
What do you think his final numbers are?
Probably somewhere just north of 20 home runs, somewhere around 100 RBIs. The runs obviously aren't going to be there. The problem with the feet has affected him on the base paths, and he doesn't hit in the right part of the lineup to score a lot of runs. He's there to drive in runs, hitting fourth or fifth or whatever he's hitting on that certain day. So probably you're looking at I'm going to say 315, 25 home runs, 110 RBIs, 65 runs.
Well, let's go back to what we spoke about 2 weeks ago when we had Billy Butler on the segment.
Still rather have Billy Butler.
Still rather have Billy Butler.
I just like the upside more. Where I think that we're seeing David Ortiz's upside now, and even projecting him out, his actual just pure pace stats right now. If he were to finish the season with these amount of at-bats come October, you're looking at, 63 runs, 109 RBIs, 24 home runs, hitting 350. Now, I don't think the average stays there, and if you just take those stats, Billy Butler's going to end up with better stats than that.
Jedd Gyorko.
My man, Jedd Gyorko. Glad I held on to him.
San Diego.
Qualifies at second and third.
It's funny. People really do, I'm finding out, they do shy away from players on the smaller market teams.
It's a bias.
It really is. And he's a great prospect.
Okay.
And I stuck him in there right away from the get-go. Get off to a slow start.
Yeah, didn't hit a home run in April. Now he has 5.
Again with the April stuff. They should just start playing in May.
Or just extend spring training halfway into April and see how people do.
So, he's on pace for 17 home runs, 56 RBIs, and he's hitting 284, 81 runs scored. You think he's going to be over or under those numbers?
I'm not sure about the home runs because he's showing a little bit of a power surge right now. But again, he only has 5 on the year, so he can make it. He shows he can at least hit 5.5 a month. That's pretty good. I could go over on most of those numbers. I think he finishes with more than 56 RBIs because if he keeps hitting this way, he's not going to be hitting 7th forever. They're going to move him up to 6th. They're going to move him up to 5th. Maybe
what position does he have the most value at?
Second base.
Second base.
With the string of third baseman being hurt, maybe he does. But generally, when you think of third baseman, you want someone with more power than this. You just want more of an elite player. That's why you spend such a high pick on a third baseman.
Alex Rios, Chicago outfielder. Alex Rios.
I can't speak objectively on Alex Rios.
He's not in Toronto anymore.
I hate him. I hate Alex Rios because I'm always the guy who drafts Alex Rios the year that he has a crappy season. It never works out for me. If I don't, put it this way: when I write my preseason columns, I'm going to tell you if I drafted Alex Rios or not. If I didn't, you want him that year. If I did, stay the hell away.
He always, you know what? To me, I look at him. Now I'm a lot older than you, but to me, he looks like Dave Winfield, but it's
skinny.
Yeah, but tall and but it's almost like looks like Tarzan plays like Jane. I always expected 45 home runs, 140 RBIs, and this and that. Never comes. He was never awful, but
he's been awful in the past. He's had a few awful years.
Well, he's on pace for 36 home runs, 97 RBIs. He's hitting 305.
Yeah, he's having a great year. And look, it probably persists. He did this last year.
Over or under? Does he 36, 100, 305?
I'll take the under on the home runs. I'd say maybe not 36, maybe between 25 and 30 is where I figure he ends up. Although playing in Chicago has turned out to be really good for him. It's a place where the ball flies out. The RBIs, 97, seems like a good number to me. He's going to be right around there, maybe a bit below, maybe he cracks 100. Wouldn't be surprising. The runs, look, he's an elite player. I hate to say it.
You think he's an elite player?
I do. Wait, put it this way. If you have someone who can hit around 30 home runs and steal around 30 bases,
that's the part he runs.
Well, cracking the century mark in runs and RBIs and hitting 300, that is a legitimate 5-tool player. If he ends the year with these projected stats here, let's take a look. 100 runs, 36 home runs, 97 RBIs, 28 steals, and 97 runs batted in. And a 305 average.
I don't understand why I don't really like him. His stats aren't bad.
He ends the season like that, he's a top 10 fantasy player.